Imagine a warm spring evening in Portugal. Families are enjoying their holidays. The sun is setting. At a holiday apartment in Praia da Luz, 3-year-old Madeleine McCann is sleeping soundly in her bed. Her parents, Kate and Jerry, are having dinner with friends at a nearby restaurant. It seems like an ordinary night. But this peaceful scene will soon turn into a parent's worst nightmare. At 10 p.m., Kate McCann goes to check on Madeleine and her twin siblings. She discovers Madeleine is missing. The room is silent. A window is open. Panic sets in. Where could Madeleine be? The search begins immediately. Friends and staff help look for the little girl. The police are called. News of the disappearance spreads quickly through the resort. Hope mingles with fear. Could Madeleine have simply wandered off? Or has something terrible happened? The disappearance of Madeleine McCann sent shockwaves around the world. It remains one of the most baffling missing child cases in recent history. The search for answers has taken countless twists and turns with no definitive conclusion in sight. The first few hours after a child goes missing are critical. In Madeleine's case, the initial response was marred by delays and missteps. Portuguese police were slow to act. They treated the disappearance as a missing person case rather than a potential abduction. Border controls were not immediately informed, giving a possible abductor a window of opportunity to flee the country. The crime scene was not properly secured. Crucial evidence may have been lost or contaminated. The McCanns were initially confident that the Portuguese authorities would find their daughter. However, as time passed and the investigation faltered, their hope turned to frustration. The couple became vocal critics of the police handling of the case. They launched their own investigation and appealed for international help. Despite the flawed initial response, investigators did uncover some clues. Cadaver dogs trained to detect the scent of human remains were brought in. They indicated the possible presence of a body in the McCann's holiday apartment and in a rental car the family had hired. However, DNA tests on the samples collected were inconclusive. Several witnesses came forward with sightings of a man carrying a young child near the resort around the time Madeleine disappeared. These sightings fueled speculation that Madeleine had been abducted by a stranger. One witness was later identified as an innocent tourist, highlighting the difficulty of relying on eyewitness accounts in such a high-profile case. The lack of concrete evidence led to a plethora of theories about what happened to Madeleine. Some believe she was abducted by a pedophile ring operating in the Algarve region. Others speculate that she may have wandered off on her own and come to harm. The possibility of a botched burglary gone wrong has also been considered. Section 4. The prime suspect Christian Bruckner emerges. In 2020, a significant breakthrough emerged in the case. German prosecutors identified Christian Bruckner, a German national with a history of sexual offenses, as a prime suspect. Bruckner had lived in the Algarve region around the time of Madeleine's disappearance. He had a history of burglaries and drug offenses. Cell phone records placed Bruckner in the vicinity of the McCann's apartment on the night Madeleine vanished. He had also left Portugal shortly after the disappearance, further raising suspicions. Despite the circumstantial evidence, no charges have been filed against Bruckner in connection with Madeleine's case. German authorities have stated that they believe Madeleine is dead. They have not released details of the evidence that led them to this conclusion. Bruckner remains in prison in Germany, serving a sentence for an unrelated rape conviction. He has denied any involvement in Madeleine's disappearance. Section 5. A Glimmer of Hope, the Reservoir Search and New Leads. In May 2025, a new search was launched at a reservoir in the Algarve region, acting on a tip that Bruckner had frequented the area. Divers, sniffer dogs, and forensic teams scoured the reservoir and surrounding woodland. Several items were recovered and sent for testing. However, no significant breakthroughs have been announced. The reservoir search, while ultimately inconclusive, brought renewed attention to the case and offered a glimmer of hope to those who have never given up on finding out what happened to Madeleine. It also underscored the determination of investigators to follow every lead, no matter how small. The McCanns have expressed cautious optimism about the ongoing investigation. They have never given up hope of finding their daughter, alive or dead. They continue to appeal for information from anyone who may know something about Madeleine's fate. Section 6. Could Julia Wendell be Madeleine? In 2023, a young Polish woman named Julia Wendell came forward claiming to be Madeleine McCann. Wendell, who was 21 at the time, cited similarities in her appearance to Madeleine. She also claimed to have memories of being in Portugal as a child. However, initial DNA tests conducted in April 2023 showed that Wendell was not Madeleine. The results indicated that she had Polish, Lithuanian, and Romanian heritage. Despite the initial setback, Wendell's claims continued to gain traction on social media. In 2025, new DNA tests were allegedly conducted, this time comparing Wendell's DNA to samples collected from the crime scene in Portugal. According to an unnamed source, these tests showed a 69.23% match, suggesting that Wendell may be related to Madeleine. The source also claimed that the new DNA results revealed partial British and Irish heritage in Wendell's ancestry, which was not present in the initial tests. The McCann family has declined to participate in any DNA testing with Wendell. They have stated through their spokesperson that they are aware of Wendell's claims, but consider them to be unfounded and hurtful. The family's lawyer has also emphasized that there is no credible evidence to support Wendell's claims. Section 7. The Unanswered Questions, A Mystery Endures. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann continues to captivate and perplex the world. Despite numerous investigations, countless theories, and a prime suspect behind bars, the truth about what happened to Madeleine remains elusive. Did she wander off and come to harm? Was she abducted by a stranger? Or was her disappearance the result of something more sinister? As the years pass, the chances of finding Madeleine alive dwindle. However, the case remains open, and investigators have vowed to continue their search for answers. The mystery of Madeleine McCann serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of children and the enduring power of hope in the face of unimaginable tragedy. What happened to Madeleine McCann on that warm spring night in Portugal? Until that question is definitively answered, the world will continue to speculate, to search for clues, and to hope against hope that one day, the truth will be revealed.